Property taxes aren't just being trimmed back or temporarily paused. They're being wiped out entirely, brought all the way down to zero. And this isn't some far-off idea. It's already unfolding right now in states across the country. In some places, new laws are already in effect that allow certain homeowners to owe nothing at all. In others, lawmakers are actively pushing proposals that would erase property taxes for everyone. Believe it or not, a few states are much closer to total elimination than most people realize. I've pinpointed 10 states where property taxes are effectively being reduced to zero for some homeowners, or potentially for all of them. A few entries on this list may genuinely catch you off guard. Others might have you seriously reconsidering where you live. And if your state shows up here, it's important to understand exactly what's going on, who qualifies, and what steps you may need to take. We're counting down from number 10 all the way to number 1, the state that's closest to completely abolishing property taxes altogether. Let's find out if your state made the cut. We'll kick things off with number 10, a state where this movement is still in its early stages, but where momentum is growing faster than many expected. Coming in at number 10 is Kansas. Yes, Kansas. The sunflower state has something new taking shape, and it's not another crop. A growing push to completely eliminate property taxes has started to gain traction here. The Axe the Tax movement is finding its footing, with lawmakers introducing bills aimed squarely at full abolition. At the same time, grassroots energy is picking up speed. Homeowners are showing up in force at town halls, voicing frustration and calling for real change. Kansas legislators are also paying close attention to what's been unfolding in states like Texas, and that comparison is starting to influence the conversation locally. Now, let's be clear, Kansas hasn't crossed the finish line yet. No elimination law has passed, and there's still notable resistance. The path forward isn't short or simple. But what has changed is the volume of the discussion. Each year, the calls grow louder and harder to ignore. At the moment, Kansas homeowners can access standard relief options, things like homestead exemptions, senior discounts, and benefits for veterans. Helpful, yes, but none of these reduce property taxes to zero. Still, that reality isn't set in stone. The reason Kansas lands at number 10 is because this movement is still in its early phase, but it's absolutely real. The political winds are shifting, and this is a state that deserves close attention. Kansas is clearly just at the beginning. The momentum is building, even if it hasn't broken through yet. But coming up next is a state that's gone a step further, one that has actually put full property tax elimination on the ballot not once, but twice. Even though voters ultimately said no, the fact that the public was given a direct say is historic in itself. That state is up next. At number 9, we have North Dakota, and this is where things get especially interesting. This is the state that moved beyond talk and actually took action. North Dakota put full property tax elimination directly in front of voters, not once, but twice. In both 2012 and again in 2024, residents were asked a very direct question: should property taxes be completely abolished? In 2024, Measure 4 proposed ending property taxes statewide. It didn't ultimately pass, but that's not the full story. What really stands out is the level of support it received. Tens of thousands of voters checked yes, signaling they were ready to eliminate property taxes altogether. And just getting this issue onto the ballot was historic. No other major state had ever gone that far before. The push in North Dakota isn't fading away either. Supporters haven't backed down, and chances are strong they'll bring the issue forward again. More importantly, they've created a roadmap. They proved that states don't have to rely solely on lawmakers. You can take this question straight to the people and let voters decide for themselves. For now, North Dakota homeowners still rely on the usual tools: standard exemptions and limited relief programs. Nothing yet wipes the bill out entirely. But even so, North Dakota has come closer to full property tax abolition than nearly any other state in modern history. That's exactly why it earns the number 9 spot. The effort didn't win this time, but the door is clearly open, and the movement is far from finished. Next up is a state that chose a very different strategy. Instead of trying to eliminate property taxes all at once, they went after massive reductions first. And unlike most, they actually pulled it off, passing the largest property tax cut in their state's history. Now, with that success behind them, full elimination is officially part of the conversation. Coming in at number 8 is Nebraska. While many states were still debating and theorizing, Nebraska moved straight into action. In 2024, the state passed LB 34, delivering the largest property tax reduction in Nebraska's history. This wasn't a small adjustment. We're talking about billions of dollars in long-term relief for homeowners and farmers alike over the years ahead. This wasn't a failed proposal or a ballot question that fizzled out. It was real legislation that cleared the hurdles, passed into law, and is now being implemented. And because Nebraska has already proven it can pull off sweeping tax cuts, the tone of the conversation has changed. Full property tax elimination is no longer dismissed as unrealistic. It's now being openly discussed. Homeowners across Nebraska are already seeing lower tax rates. Seniors have access to expanded relief programs, and farmers are receiving substantial assistance as well. More importantly, the political momentum is clearly pointing forward. Once a state passes the biggest tax cut it's ever seen, the idea of going all the way to elimination suddenly feels far more achievable. That's exactly why Nebraska earns the number 8 spot. They've shown, in concrete terms, that meaningful change isn't just possible, it can actually happen. And if you want to stay ahead of what's happening in your own state, go ahead and subscribe. We keep a close eye on property tax development so you don't have to. When new laws pass, ballot measures surface, or exemptions expand, you'll hear about it first. So far, we've looked at Kansas, North Dakota, and Nebraska, states where the elimination movement is gaining traction. These are places where lawmakers are introducing bills, voters are being consulted, and historic tax cuts have already passed. But they're still in the early or transitional phase. The next group is different. These states have already crossed a major threshold. In them, certain homeowners, especially seniors, can legally reduce their property taxes all the way to zero. Not proposed, not pending, already law. At number 7 sits Georgia. The Peach State has cracked an important part of the property tax puzzle, especially when it comes to helping seniors. Instead of nibbling around the edges, Georgia went straight after the largest portion of the bill: school taxes. In Georgia, homeowners aged 65 and older can have their school property taxes completely wiped out. Not lowered, not capped, eliminated. And that's a huge deal, because school taxes typically account for about 60 to 70% of the entire property tax bill. When that piece is removed, most of the burden disappears right along with it. Even better, in many Georgia counties there's no income cap attached. If you're 65 or older, you qualify. Full stop. The process is fairly straightforward. Once you reach 65, you apply for the school tax exemption through your county. In certain areas, that exemption can be combined with others, such as the homestead exemption and local senior relief programs. When those stack together, the savings can be dramatic. In fact, in some Georgia counties, seniors end up paying nothing at all in property taxes. Typical annual savings range from about $1,000 to $3,000, and depending on the county, some seniors save even more. That variation is exactly why location matters so much within the state. Georgia earns the number 7 spot because it removes the single biggest piece of the property tax bill for seniors. Whether taxes drop all the way to zero depends on where you live, but eliminating school taxes alone takes a massive load off. That largest chunk? Gone. Still, one state pushes even further. For residents who are totally disabled, property taxes don't just shrink, they vanish entirely. A full 100% elimination paired with some of the most generous senior benefits in the South. At number 6 is South Carolina, and this state stands out for what it offers its disabled residents. If you're classified as 100% disabled, South Carolina doesn't just give you a break, it completely wipes out your property taxes. Not a partial reduction, not a discount. Total elimination. Your bill drops straight to zero. For seniors who aren't disabled, the state still delivers meaningful relief. Once you turn 65, South Carolina provides a $50,000 exemption on your property's value, and on top of that, your assessment is locked in. That means even if your home value climbs, your taxes can't increase because of it. Combine those benefits with the fact that South Carolina already has some of the lowest property tax rates in the nation, and you start to see multiple realistic paths to paying little or nothing at all. If you're fully disabled, whether through VA status or permanent disability certification, the outcome is simple. Your property taxes are eliminated entirely. Zero due. For seniors aged 65 and up, the combination of the $50,000 exemption and the assessment freeze typically translates into annual savings ranging from about $300 to $1,500, depending on the value of the home. South Carolina earns the number 6 spot because it delivers complete property tax elimination for disabled homeowners while offering deep, reliable reductions for seniors. And because the state's baseline tax rates are already low, those savings stretch even further. South Carolina removes property taxes entirely for the disabled and sharply reduces them for older homeowners. But there's another state where the route to zero is even more straightforward. In that state, once you hit 65, the state portion of property taxes is already gone. Add local county exemptions on top of that, and many seniors end up paying nothing at all. At number 5 is Alabama, and this is where things start to get eye-opening. Here's a fact most people don't realize. Alabama already has the lowest property tax rates in the entire country. And for seniors, the state has essentially made property taxes vanish. Once you turn 65 in Alabama, the state portion of your property taxes is completely eliminated. Just like that, it's gone. County taxes can vary, but many counties offer additional senior exemptions that stack on top of the state benefit. When you put it all together, the result is striking. Across large parts of Alabama, seniors pay absolutely nothing in property taxes. Not almost nothing. Not close to zero. Zero. The formula is simple but powerful. First, Alabama starts with extremely low tax rates. Then it layers on some of the most generous senior exemptions anywhere. That combination is why seniors so often end up with no property tax bill at all. Here's how the path to zero works in Alabama. Turn 65, and your state property tax is automatically erased. Next, apply for your county's senior exemptions. In many counties, those local exemptions eliminate whatever remains. State taxes drop to zero, and county taxes often fall somewhere between zero and just a few $100s, sometimes disappearing entirely. Alabama lands at number 5 because it has already accomplished what many other states are still aiming for: effective property tax elimination for seniors. If you're 65 or older and own a home in Alabama, there's a good chance you're already paying nothing. And if you're not, you may be missing out on benefits you qualify for. Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama. These are the senior zero states. Places where older homeowners can realistically reach zero or near zero property taxes today. The exemptions are real, and the pathways already exist. But now we're stepping into a different tier. These next states go beyond seniors. In them, certain groups, especially veterans and disabled residents, receive full property tax elimination. Not reductions, not partial relief. A true zero. 100% gone. At number 4 is Florida. The Sunshine State doesn't just roll out the red carpet for veterans, it backs that appreciation up with real, financial action. If you're a veteran with a 100% VA disability rating, Florida completely erases your property tax bill. This isn't a partial break or a special rate. It's full elimination. Your balance drops to zero. What truly sets Florida apart, though, is that this benefit doesn't end when the veteran passes away. A surviving spouse can continue receiving the exemption for life as long as they don't remarry and the home remains a homestead. On top of that, Florida grants the same full exemption to residents who are totally and permanently disabled, as well as to surviving spouses of first responders who were killed in the line of duty. There are multiple, clearly defined paths to paying nothing at all. To put this into perspective, the average homeowner in Florida pays between $4,000 and $8,000 per year in property taxes. For a fully disabled veteran, that's $4,000 to $8,000 staying in your pocket every single year. Stretch that over a 20 or 30-year retirement, and the savings easily reach into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And importantly, that zero tax status continues for a surviving spouse. Florida earns the number 4 spot because it delivers complete property tax elimination for people who have served, sacrificed, and protected their communities, and it extends that protection to their families as well. Florida offers total elimination for disabled veterans and for the families of fallen first responders. But when it comes to seniors specifically, those who aren't disabled and aren't veterans, There's another state that stands alone, a place where turning 65 and meeting an income threshold can reduce property taxes to zero. And that income limit? It's far higher than most people would ever expect. Number 3 is Oklahoma, and this may be the most overlooked success story in the entire property tax conversation. Oklahoma quietly offers something that almost no other state does, a true 100% property tax exemption for qualifying seniors. This isn't a cap. It isn't a freeze. It's complete elimination. Your bill goes all the way to zero. What really separates Oklahoma from every other state is the income threshold. In most places, senior exemptions cut off once income hits $20,000 or $30,000. Oklahoma is in a completely different league. The household income limit sits roughly between $95,000 and $100,000. That's not an exaggeration. If you're 65 or older and your household income falls under that range, you may qualify for total property tax elimination. The process is straightforward. First, you turn 65. Next, you confirm that your household income is under the limit. Again, roughly $95,000 to $100,000. Then you apply for the senior exemption by March 15th. If you meet the criteria, your property tax bill disappears entirely. To put numbers behind it, the average property tax bill in Oklahoma is around $1,200 per year. With this exemption in place, that $1,200 becomes zero. And because Oklahoma uses relatively low assessment ratios, the savings stretch even further. Oklahoma earns the number 3 spot because it has created something no other state has managed to offer: a clear, realistic path to zero property taxes for everyday seniors. Not veterans, not disabled residents, just regular homeowners who are 65 or older and fall under a surprisingly reasonable income limit. This is the benchmark, the gold standard, for senior property tax elimination. Florida leads when it comes to disabled veterans. Oklahoma leads when it comes to seniors. These states aren't just talking theory. They've already made full elimination a reality for qualifying residents. The pathways exist, the numbers make sense, and people are paying zero right now. Number 2 is the first state on this list to formally introduce a bill that would completely wipe out property taxes. And number 1, that state has come closer than any major state ever has to actually pulling it off. These are the leaders of the elimination movement. At number 2 is New Hampshire. Live free or die isn't just a slogan in New Hampshire, it's a guiding principle. And for some lawmakers, that principle now includes eliminating property taxes altogether. CACR 16 is a proposed constitutional amendment that would abolish property taxes statewide, not trim them back, not place limits on them. Eliminate them entirely for everyone. This isn't a minor policy tweak. It would fundamentally change how New Hampshire funds government services. And here's what makes the proposal even more striking. New Hampshire already has no state income tax. If property taxes were eliminated as well, residents would live in a state with neither an income tax nor a property tax, something that has never existed anywhere in the United States. Now, let's be realistic. CACR 16 is a long shot in the near term. The opposition is substantial. Amending the state constitution is no small task, and serious questions remain about how lost revenue would be replaced. Those concerns are valid. But that's not why New Hampshire ranks number 2. New Hampshire earns this spot because the bill exists. It has a name, it has a number, and it's being openly debated. A state that already operates without an income tax is now seriously discussing whether it should also operate without property taxes. That alone marks a major shift. This shows just how far the elimination movement has advanced. Ideas that once seemed impossible are now being discussed in legislative chambers. New Hampshire didn't just float a concept. It introduced legislation to end property taxes completely. It's bold, it's controversial. It may not pass anytime soon, but it's real. Number 1 is Texas, and this is the moment everything comes together. This is the heavyweight. In 2023, Texas voters approved Proposition 4, creating the largest homestead exemption anywhere in the country, a massive $100,000 reduction in assessed home value. But that wasn't the finish line. It was the launch point. Texas is now openly and actively debating full property tax elimination. The governor has voiced support. Lawmakers are evaluating real mechanisms to make it happen. And what truly separates Texas from every other state is this: they have the financial firepower to pull it off. An $18 billion budget surplus changes the entire equation. Right now, Texas is developing what's known as a buy-down strategy, where the state gradually takes over school funding in order to eliminate school property taxes altogether. This isn't theoretical, it's being worked on today. Texas isn't just floating ideas, they're laying out an actual roadmap. Look at what's already been accomplished. That $100,000 homestead exemption alone caused property tax bills to drop sharply for millions of homeowners. Seniors aged 65 and older get an extra $10,000 exemption, and their home values are locked in, meaning assessments can't rise. School tax rates are being compressed, with the state stepping in to cover more of the cost. Homes valued under roughly $110,000 already pay zero in school taxes. Zero. That's happening right now. So what comes next? If the state continues buying down school taxes, there's a clear endgame. Eventually, Texas could fully assume school funding responsibilities. At that point, property taxes would either disappear entirely or become negligible for most homeowners. Texas earns the #1 spot because this isn't speculation. They've already started the process. They have voter backing, political momentum, and the budget surplus needed to see it through. If any major state eliminates property taxes within the next decade, Texas is the most likely candidate. New Hampshire introduced a bill to abolish property taxes. Texas is closer than any large state has ever been to actually doing it, and they're moving forward, not backing off. So that's the full list. 10 states. From early-stage movements to full-on elimination leaders. From discussions and proposals to laws already in effect. From select groups paying zero today to serious conversations about everyone paying zero tomorrow. The shift is real, it's accelerating, and a tax that once seemed untouchable is now being challenged nationwide. Which brings us to the most important question. What does this mean for you? Whether your state made the list or not, there are concrete steps you should be taking right now. If you live in Kansas, North Dakota, or Nebraska, the emerging states, pay close attention to ballot initiatives and legislative proposals. If you support these efforts, get involved. Vote. Show up. Speak out. And don't wait for elimination to take advantage of existing exemptions. They still matter, and they still save real money. If you're in Georgia, South Carolina, or Alabama, the senior zero states, check your eligibility immediately. Are you 65 or older? Do you qualify for school tax exemptions or disability relief? Call your county property appraiser and ask directly, what exemptions do I qualify for? County-level programs vary widely, and knowing what's available where you live makes all the difference. If you're in Florida or Oklahoma, the champion states, and you qualify, apply right away. These states offer genuine paths to zero, but the deadlines are strict. Florida's deadline is March 1st. Oklahoma's is March 15th. Gather your paperwork now. Waiting too long could cost you thousands. If you're in New Hampshire or Texas, the elimination leaders, stay locked in. Track legislative activity. Vote on ballot measures when they appear. Use the current exemptions aggressively because they're already substantial. More changes are likely coming, and you want to be ready when they do. And if your state didn't make the list, don't get discouraged. Every state offers some form of relief. Homestead exemptions exist almost everywhere. Senior benefits are common. Veteran and disability programs are widespread. There's a good chance you're leaving money on the table without realizing it. Here's what to do. Research your state's exemptions. Look beyond the obvious ones. Confirm your eligibility. Apply for everything you qualify for. And if you want deeper change, push for it. Contact your representatives. These movements didn't start overnight in places like Texas or Oklahoma. They began with ordinary homeowners demanding something better. And remember this: what happens in Texas won't stay in Texas. If a state that large succeeds in eliminating property taxes, pressure will ripple outward. Other states will be forced to respond. What feels impossible today could be on a ballot within 5 years. Stay informed. Stay engaged. The future of property taxes in